the words, Almighty Yah, from heaven do not fall on deaf ears. We thank you for the opportunities that we have that are before us. We glorify you, Father. There's none like you, none that stands beside you. We thank you for your only Son, Yeshua HaMashiach, who has been resurrected from the dead and has become the unique one, the special one that will lead all of mankind back to the Garden of Eden, back to a perfect state. So, Yah, we just thank you. We just thank you for everything. And we thank you for your plan. We thank you that we are included in your plan. And we pray that we may not fall astray or fall to the side. We may be able to fulfill the objective that you have placed on our soul, Almighty Yah. So we thank you. Pray that you move your servant out the way. That the time we may spend together discussing your scriptures, Almighty Yah, may be fruitful and beneficial and a nurturing for our spirit man or spirit woman. In Yeshua HaMashiach, we pray, hallelujah and amen. All right, so we will discuss some things this afternoon, and I will not be before you long, but just some things to kind of think about until the next time we convene, and we'll pick right back up on our different World Series and try to close that out. So today we're going to discuss kingdom mindset, stewards of the unknown. So a kingdom mindset is having a kingdom mindset, a mind set on the kingdom, and then being a steward of the unknown. And I forgot the author, but there was an author, it might have been Richard Reeves. I'm not sure it's Richard Reeves or not. But he had a saying I thought was really good. It says that time is the ally of deceit. Time is the ally of deceit. So, sometimes the more time you have, or the more time you think you have, uh, the more you can become deceived. Uh, because in reality, time is actually flying. I was driving, and this is when the roads were a little bit more drivable. I was driving, and I looked up, and I was looking at the moon. I was like, man, where are we? And got to looking, and I was thinking about the tour portion. I was like, man, we're not that far from Passover, are we? And technically, we're not. We're not that far. So, for all the people who are new, or this is kind of the first kind of go around, you want to make sure that you're kind of saving your second tithe. Ms. Bev kind of explains it fairly simple. You got $100, okay? With that $100, you got $10 is your first tithe that goes to the Levite. If we say Levite, y'all so fun. Um, if you say Levite, we just it goes to the ministry. Um, we do not pay ourselves, so all the people who are ordained, or for future reference, people who might get ordained, we don't pay ourselves a salary or a check or something out of the tithes. That is strictly for the buildings in Humboldt and Caruthersville. That's for hosting events, Passover. If we do something for Hanukkah, if we do something for, that's what our labor is for. And then we host these events to hope that we can, bring in people from the outside to the inside. Um, so your second tithe, going back to the $100 example, you got $100, you tithe $10, you got 90 left. That nine, then you would take another 10% out. That's $9, and then you put that $9 up. That's for you and the feast of God. So, we don't have crops, and we're not doing animals and things like that. So you put that $9 up, and you just save your second tithe. So if Passover is in here, or if Sukkot's in somewhere in Missouri, or if there's something we got going on here for this festival, then Yah has a system to where you have funds to get there. I mean, it's kind of hard to do stuff if you don't have money. So if we didn't have our second tithe, we wouldn't be able to do the things that we do. And you save your second tithe, and you do it throughout the year. And your second tithe, when you get to the Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot, is that you are to buy something. What do you want to buy? God said, whatever you want, whatever desire your heart is, you can buy it. You want to get somebody a gift or do something for somebody else? Great. You want to, you know, go buy some stuff and feed some hungry homeless people? Great. I mean, just whatever you want to do with it. So that is the Most High's um, financial economic system right there in the Torah. So anyway, so kingdom mindset, stewards of the unknown. I thought that was a really good quote. Time is the ally of deceit. So we're going to start off this. We're going to pretend that we are all entrepreneurs. We are all in the Airbnb business. And you can just visualize whatever city or location your Airbnb is in. Obviously the bigger the city, the better the location. So people are more likely going to come and travel and visit, and might not want to do a hotel. They might want to get an Airbnb. So we're gonna pretend we're in a whatever city you like, and you have an Airbnb business, and you don't just say, I mean, you're really good, right? You're really really good, and you have mm, 5, 7 properties. You have 5 or 7. You have 7 homes. You have 7 Airbnb, right? And then you also work, right? So you do other things. So this is your side hustle that is really, 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 really good. And because you have 7 houses, and these houses are some are 2 bedrooms, some are 3. You might have one that can hold up to like 6 people, right? So you have properties, different sizes, different homes, and you physically cannot clean them out, keep them up. So you hire stewards. You have people who are working for you, okay? You're paying them, and they are taking care of these properties, right? So while you're doing whatever other business you got to do, or whatever things you got, going on, you are taking care of your um, uh, business, but your stewards, they have access to your property. So, there's and so these workers, they're basically their job is to keep the homes ready. Okay, that's pretty much the deal. Now, for sure, when people leave the houses, okay, they had guests, some guests came, and we all been in Airbnb. You check out, right? Some of them are really up high tech, and the app goes off, so the workers know that, hey, at checkout time was on Sunday at, I don't know, uh, 11 o'clock. The workers know not to come to about 1 o'clock, and they go through their process. And their job is to keep the homes ready. Now, the stewards have access to the same apps that you have. Okay, they have the general access to the apps. So with these general access, the stewards know when people leave, and they know when people show up. Now, these stewards might have other obligations, right? They might have other things to do, other things going on. And sometimes these stewards are, man, and they're on point, and they are taking care of the houses as soon as the people leave. Sometimes some of the stewards might say, well, hey, um, I know that I get a 24, 36, 48, 72 hour window. I get a notice on when somebody's coming. So somebody might check out on Sunday, and then if somebody's coming like on a Friday, I get the heads up on Wednesday. So I might not clean until Tuesday or Wednesday. I might not clean. So the stewards have been entrusted with your property because the thought is what makes Airbnbs great is it's like a home away from home. So that when the people come in, right, they feel like they're at home, right? It's everything's there for them. You know, if you want to go out and get groceries and stuff, you can. But good Airbnbs, man, they got coffee, they got towels, they got plates, they got dishes, they got. It's like your home. Okay, so this is where we are. So we're all we all have properties, and we have people that work for us, and their job is to take care of our seven, eight, nine, how many ever Airbnbs we got, and it can become, if you let it pile up, it become a heavy load. So what happens is that like with most of technology and apps and uh, services and devices, sometimes you might click on an app and the app might say, hey, it's down right now. Okay, come back in an hour. Hey, it's down. Come back in 3 hours. It's down. Come back in 2 days, whatever. So, unbeknownst to the stewards of your properties, that you have built a reputation, right? You worked hard to be able to get this position. You got these houses, and you have people that go and they clean them for you. And your expectation is that when they check out, they're going to get cleaned that day, and that the process is when somebody comes in on Friday, everything's set. All you're doing as the kind of owner is making sure that the people get the access code, they're getting this to get into the house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Now, if the app shuts down, when I say the app shuts down, only thing that's not working is that the steward is not getting the heads up anymore. The steward doesn't know 72 hours or 48 hours in advance that somebody's coming. So the idea, the objective, the mission is that the stewards are going to clean and do their part regardless. Regardless if they know somebody's coming or if somebody's not coming. So the apps are down, and the only thing that works is email. So somebody finds a property, they find an Airbnb, they email you because you're the big dog, right? They email you, and y'all going back and forth. You got all their information, payment stuff came through, and you're not even thinking about the steward because the premise is after somebody's checked out, it always gets cleaned like immediately. That's the agreement that you, the owner, has with your worker or your steward. Okay. And come to find out, your biggest house, or if you have 8 homes, 8 Airbnbs, 5 of them got booked. So for you, that's like a great, like, woo, woo, money, 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 right? Then all of a sudden, your email box is being littered and blown up. And it's blown up because the stewards had not been stewarding. The stewards hadn't been stewarding. The stewards had been so used to waiting for the heads up, waiting to the last minute to get the uh, homes ready, that since the app was down, they didn't get the heads up. They didn't know. That little, so then you as the owner, you get these emails, and then you find out that the stewards hadn't been stewarding. The question is, what do you do to those stewards? You're the owner, right? What do? Do you scold them? You fire them, you doctor pay. What do you do? And this little story, this kind of introduction, um, as nice as it would be to have our own Airbnbs, and some of you might watch this video and say, "Hey, I got Airbnb." Um, we're really the steward. We're kind of time is an ally of deceit, and because we think we have time, we don't actually move and work like we're on time, if that makes sense. So we're the steward in this story, in my poor attempt at a rabbinical rabbi story. Anyway, all right. So a kingdom mindset, and if we are stewards, we have to have a kingdom mindset. As in, the steward has to have the same mentality of his master. The steward has to think, has to be a dreamer, has to, he has to uh, he has to see the bigger picture like the master. And the steward might not even kind of understand all the way, but a good steward is going to follow his master. He's going to follow the plan. He's going to follow the mission. Well, if we have a master, and if Yeshua HaMashiach, if that is our master, if this is the one that we follow, are we being stewards of whatever we've been left with or whatever we've been dealt with? Like, are we good stewards? So here's an example. Genesis 15. I know some of you were saying the you would fire the stewards, and then you would run to Indeed and post these job positions open. And rightfully so, because you just got 8 emails about what is not, right about your properties. And what if the creator had our read the emails that are sent about us from the adversary and from all the minions that are talking about what we're not doing and how we're not, on the one. And God said, fire him, fire her. And we'd be in a lot of trouble, women. All right, Genesis 15 and 1. After these things, the word of the Lord came to Abraham in a vision, saying, do not be afraid, Abraham, I am your shield, your exceedingly great reward. Verse 2. But Abraham said, Lord God, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the heir of my house is Eliezer of Damascus. Now, we're not going to turn there, but the idea is that in Genesis 24, when Abraham finally has Isaac, and Abraham is getting old, and it's time for Abraham to transition. He has to find his son or wife and his steward. Now, in that chapter, Genesis 24, we don't have to go there. Well, go ahead. It's fine. You go ahead and go there if you want to. Go ahead and go there. Genesis 24. In this chapter, we see the loyalty of this steward. Okay. So he's older in age. Okay. And he says, now this is the New King James. In the other version, will say steward, but it's okay. All right. So Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had. So if you are a steward, if you have a kingdom mindset, you have to realize that you are very valuable because the owner has entrusted you. So do you personally think or feel like you've been entrusted? Because if you are a steward, you have been entrusted. because stewards are entrusted. So the oldest servant rules over everything that he has. Okay. And so Abraham goes into this with his servant, and he's saying, hey, I want you to go and find a wife for my son. Cannot be the Canaanites, okay, at all. Okay. Go back and find, him a wife. And Eliezer of Damascus, more than likely, is this servant. And we know in this story that as the servant is leaving, he's like, hey, the God of my master, right? The God of my master. And the as the story goes on in this chapter, that he's like, hey, this don't even make any sense. Let's imagine somebody coming to you and saying, hey, go find me a wife, and if it don't work, just come on back. Like, go find. So, like, well, go find who? Where? I don't know. So he goes and he's thinking to himself. And before he even gets his thoughts out of his mind, the scenario that he's thinking, like, this would be the perfect scenario. It's starting to play in actual life. So Eliezer, we assume it's Eliezer, but this steward of his master's great possessions is just kind of dumbfounded, right? And then as he goes into the house of Laban and he's telling the story, he falls down to the ground. You know, the God of my master, he made this happen. So this is a good steward. And the kingdom mindset of a steward has to be about the master's business. And that our mindset has to be changed towards Yeshua's mindset. And Yeshua's mindset is clearly established by the Father in heaven, established by Yah. So if we have a kingdom mindset, that means we have a kingdom mind like Yeshua. That means we have a kingdom mind like the Father. And the whole purpose of Yeshua saying, I and the Father in one are one. And if you're in me, as in if you're in Yeshua, then you are in the Father. Well, is that because there is a plan, right, to have the Malchuto, the kingdom, on earth, right? It's not us leaving and floating up like evaporation, but it's about the kingdom being established here. So Eliezer is the example of a perfect steward, okay? That even though I kind of don't get it, I'm still going to ride with my master, okay? Now, there's another one in Genesis 39, okay? If you got your scriptures, we'll turn to Genesis 39. Okay, and in Genesis 39, we start in verse 1. Let's see. All right. Now Joseph had been taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And the mat and his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all he did to prosper in his hand. So Joseph found favor in his sight and served him. Then he made him overseer of his house and all that he had put under his authority. All right, overseer, overseer. So go back up to verse 4, please. Overseer, all right, the Hebrew word is pachak. Click on that, please, on tools. Where's the pachad? All right, we'll scroll a little bit and we'll look for overseer. Pakad. All right, so pakad. Pakad is a verb, um, and the action. Go ahead and click on that 6485, please. And scroll down a little bit. All right, that he is somebody that is going to attend to number, reckon, punish, appoint, look after, care for. So these verb explanations of Joseph being an overseer, this means he's going to attend to all the matters of what? Potiphar's house. All right. If there's something that needs to be mustered, something needs to be fixed, he's going to do it. Something that needs to be reckoned, something needs to be accounted for, numbering, deleted, right? So this is the verb used to describe Joseph in Potiphar's house because he is also a steward. Okay, so stewardship is a part of kingdom building, and we have two examples in the Torah that are given us, whether it's the unknown steward in Genesis 24, which we assume is Eliezer of Damascus, who had acquired a position with Abraham, who acquired all this stuff. And Abraham's like, hey, man, I ain't got a kid, so Eliezer's going to get my stuff, right? So the point, not the point, but the reward of being a steward, it is big. To be a steward of Yeshua Messiah, that is huge, right? That's a kingdom mindset. And we might not see the reward, the full reward on this side of the spectrum. It might be on the other side. And we have to be good with that, but we cannot allow time to be an ally of deceit for us. All right, let's turn to Matthew 20. Matthew 20. All right, Matthew 20. And we have the parables of the workers in the vineyard. All right, for the kingdom of heaven is like a landowner who went out early in the morning to hire laborers for the vineyard. All right, so this parable starts off about the kingdom of heaven, i.e., this is kingdom business we're about to get into. All right, next verse. Now, when he had agreed with the laborers for a denarius a day, he sent them into his vineyard. And when he went out about the third hour and saw others standing idle in the marketplace, he said to them, you also get into the vineyard, and whatever is right I will give you. So they want. Again, he went out about the sixth and ninth hour and did likewise. At about the 11th hour, he went out and found others standing idle. And he said to them, why have you been standing idle all day? So something that the owner looking for workers saying, hey, why are you standing idle? In other words, doing nothing is wasting time. Doing the wrong thing is wasting time. This parable starts off about working for the kingdom. Working for the kingdom. Verse 7, then they said to him, because no one had hired us. And he said to them, you also go into the vineyard, and whatever is right you will receive. So when the evening had come, the owner of the vineyard said to who? His what? Steward. Call the laborers and give them their wages, beginning with the last to the first. All right, time out. So to be a steward of the master is a very, very important, honorable position in this work, to be a steward. In this parable, the steward is the one who is taking the riches of the owner and giving it to the workers. It's the steward. So the steward is able to handle, the wealth of the owner. All right. So if we flip that, what are we handling of God? Like, what are we stewarding over? And what are we distributing to the people? Stewardship. So it's hard to say, I'm a believer. I walk with Yah. I'm a part of this. I'm a part of that. But there's no stewardship because the gospel isn't ours, right? The Ruach HaKodesh isn't ours. The Torah isn't ours. The gifts of the Spirit's not ours. The Moedim are not ours. The breath of life is not ours. The bread of life is not ours, right? None of this is ours. Just the same with this steward who has been given the 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 day's hire, right, to give to the workers. So a so a steward is important and is part of kingdom building. All right, so let's go to Luke 16. Hope that makes sense. Go to Luke 16. All right, so I have a parable, and Yeshua is talking to his students, but he's talking to his students in a way, um, and you. So I'm talking to this person here. And when I'm talking to this person, I deliberately want people who are not in this conversation to hear what I'm saying. Okay. So some of you have probably done that, you know, in a parenting way. You've probably done that in some kind of way, right? Or something where I'm talking to this person, but I'm saying it in a way that I hope everybody around hears. All right. So he's talking to his Talmudim, talking to his disciples. There was a certain rich man who had a steward. All right. So here we go. Steward. Okay. Steward. And an accusation was brought to him that this man was wasting his goods. All right. So, once again, a steward is a person that has access to the master's goods. Now, you can distribute the goods, right? Like in Matthew 20 or here in Luke 16, you can be accused of wasting his goods. Remember, time is the ally of deceit. So he called him and said to him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your stewardship. Let that sit for a minute. Give an account of your stewardship. Can you imagine Yeshua Messiah saying, give an account of your stewardship? And there's a slight pause, and he says, for you can no longer be a steward. Remember, you had an Airbnb, about 7 or 8 of them. You got about 12 emails talking about how your homes wasn't ready. The place was a mess. All right, next verse. Then the steward said within himself, because I might not say it out loud, but within ourselves, 9 times out of 10, we tell the truth to ourselves. Now there's some people that still gonna lie to themselves. You know, like people are lying, just like you don't lie to someone, you believe the lie, and you knew it was a lie in the beginning. But anyway, so the steward said within himself, "What shall I do for my master? Is taking the stewardship away from me. I cannot dig. I'm too ashamed to beg. I have resolved what to do. Aha! I got an idea. When I put out of the stewardship, that they may receive me to their houses." So he called every one of his master's debtors to him, people who owed the master money. He said to the first, how much do you owe my master? He said, 100 measures of oil. He said to him, take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50. Next verse. Then he said to another, how much do you owe? So he said, 100 measures of wheat. He said to him, take your bill and write 80. So the master commended the what kind of steward? Unjust steward, because he had dealt shrewdly. For the sons of this world, for the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation than the sons of light. Okay. Time is the ally of deceit. The people who worked for you with your Airbnb rentals, they thought because the app pops up and says, hey, the the house on 312 Winchester AB has to be ready by Friday. I know I got to get it done. I got to get it done by Friday. Well, it's Tuesday. I'm not going to go over there till Thursday, right? Time is the ally of deceit. For the sons of this world are more shrewd in their generation, the sons of light. And I say to you, make friends for yourselves by unrighteous mammon, that when you fail, they may receive you into an everlasting home. Is that not what he did? You owe 100 measures of wheat, change it to 50. So I'm gonna scratch your back, you scratch mine after I get fired, after I get disassembled, after I'm kicked out of the master's plan. Next verse. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we stewards over? And are we distributing what has been given to us from the master? And he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? Uh-oh. So if you're janky and shisty, verse 11, if you're janky and shisty on certain things, certain quirks, right? Certain things that you do, who's going to trust you with real wealth? And if you have not been faithful in what is another man's, who will give you what is your own? No servant can serve two masters. He will hate the one and love the other, or else he will be loyal to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. Next verse. Now the Pharisees who were lovers of money also heard all these things. I'm talking to you, but I'm talking because I want them to hear what I'm saying. All right. So the Parshim, and not all of them, we have to understand that when Yeshua makes a statement about the Pharisees, I'm not talking about all of them. I'm just talking about the rebels and the knuckleheads. There are probably more Pharisees who are righteous than unrighteous. Remember, Yeshua says, I don't come for the well, I come for those who are sick. So if he is addressing the leaders of that time, I don't have to address the people who are doing what they're supposed to do. I'm here to address the people who are doing what they're not supposed to be doing. That's what he's for. So the Pharisees are hearing this, and they are the stewards. And they're not like Eliezer of Damascus in Genesis 15. They're not like Joseph ben Yaakov, son of Jacob, in Genesis 39. They are not taking on the responsibility of the master, right? They are part-time in it. They are only doing what is beneficial They only are going to do and go clean the Airbnb and do their part when the app gives them a 48-hour heads up. Other than that, they're not going to stick to the agreement of what you were hired for. I'm going to pull you out of Egypt. And then we say, yes, Lord, I will serve you. And in our serving, time can be the ally of deceit because you think you have time and you have time to do this and to go here and to concentrate on this and to concentrate on that. And in reality, as it says in this passage here, if you scroll up a little bit, so that's good. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, verse 10. So we have to master the little before we can get to the major, to get to the heavyweight. Okay. So stewardship is a part of kingdom build. Remember, this parable starts off with the kingdom of Shemaim, the kingdom of heaven. All right. Now let's look at Matthew 25. We're going to be in verse 45. Matthew 25 and verse 45. All right. Let me scroll up, please. That's not right. Go to 24 and 45. Okay. All right. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, a steward, whom his master made ruler over his household to give them food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing, i.e., the agreement is that when they check out on Sunday at 11 o'clock, the crew goes over at 2 o'clock and they begin cleaning the house so that it's ready. Because you never know. Somebody might book on what? Tuesday. Somebody might book on a Wednesday. Somebody might book on Monday. You don't know when somebody's coming to the master or to the owner's property, right? So you're just driving through your, Airbnbs and you see the car there. And you go in and they in there working and getting it. You say, oh man, that's so y'all so good. Come on here, y'all stop at you. Let's go buy y'all some lunch. And then we'll come back and finish up. Next verse. Surely I say to you that he'll make him ruler over all his goods. Remember, time is ally of deceit. But if that evil servant says in his heart, my master is what? Delaying in his coming. Time is the ally of deceit, and begins to beat his fellow servants and to eat and drink with the drunkards. The app hadn't went off, so we good. We good to go back and clean up. We good. He ain't gonna know. As long as the place is clean, we good. That's the mind of people today. I'm gonna do the bare minimum, but I want to get my full pay. That's the world we live in. I'm gonna do the least work possible, but I want to be paid maximum. The master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him and at the hour he's not aware of. He will cut him in two and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There should be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Okay. All right. It was brought up earlier today. We just had a snow and ice storm. We got hit with snow first in our area, and then the freezing rain came and the sleet and the wintry mix that was on top of the snow. And we had this weird ice blocks, right? There's no snowball fights. We went to the weight room one day and our players were trying to throw snow at each other and they're throwing ice at each other. I was like, all right, you hit somebody in the head, don't say nothing. But this is not snow. This is ice. Anyway, so the Friday, right? It started on Shabbat, 2 Shabbats ago. The Friday it started. What is everybody doing that week before the storm comes? What is everybody doing?
Going to the grocery store.
To the grocery store. Everybody's trying to get what? Food. Everybody's trying to get light, things in case the power goes out, right? Yeah, it's taking all the bread and milk. No question about that. Now, most people went to the stores and they got stuff, and you're thinking, hey, gonna be in the house for the weekend, the first couple of days of the week, right? The first couple of days, and I'm usually not really worried about roads and driving. Like I really didn't get out the house till probably Tuesday or Wednesday. So that means you're in the house for Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5, 6, 7 days. All right. Question. Did you have enough stuff in your homes, or did you need to go back out to the store to get stuff? What's the lesson that we can learn from this snow and ice storm? More than likely, we didn't have enough. We had to go to the store about, I don't know, 3, 4 times. I got 3 giants in here swallowing food and substance like a nuclear bomb went off. But anyway, but something to think about in preparing for the storm. Were we really prepared? Can we learn from this? Everybody's going and rushing and trying to get stuff because something's coming. Gotcha. But what if you don't get a warning? What if there's no heads up? Then what? See, Yeshua says the servant who is faithful is always ready. The good steward, Eliezer, is always ready. The good steward, Joseph, in Potiphar's house, was Pachad. He was such a great overseer that if something go wrong, he's going to muster. He's going to make this thing work. Is that us in our stewardship? If we're caught off guard, caught on surprise, what's that old saying, caught with your pants down? Are we able to have a kingdom mindset? Or will we be like the evil servant, my master is delaying his coming? Or like the other knucklehead in Luke 16, what can I do to get out of the situation? So a steward has to have a kingdom mindset. And on top of that, a good steward, might not even know. Ask Eliezer. He had no clue. So the snow and the ice can be a great lesson in preparing. So we knew what was coming. And what happened to be a 1 week out of school was a 2 week out of school. But what if there's no power? What if bridges are down? What if, like one of my cousins in Nashville, they had a tree fell in their driveway, big tree, they couldn't get out? Are you prepared? Are we prepared? Are we truly stewards of the unknown? Do we have a kingdom mindset? All right, last passage. We'll stay in Matthew. Let's go to Matthew, next chapter. This 25, next chapter. The kingdom of heaven, ding, ding, ding. The kingdom of heaven, ding, 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 shall be likened to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were wise, 5 were foolish. Those who were foolish took their lamps with no oil in them. Ding, ding, ding. They were not what? Prepared. I know you coming. I don't know when you coming, but I know you coming. But the wise took what? Oil in their vessels with their lamps. I know you're coming. I'm going to prepare the lamp, have my lamps ready. The wick is trimmed. I got oil in there and I'm ready. So even if I'm caught off guard, I'm a good steward of what was delivered to me. But when the bridegroom was delayed, they all slumbered and slept. And at midnight, a cry was heard, behold, the bridegroom is coming, like the shofar I was talking about earlier today. Go out and meet him. Then all those virgins arose, trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out. But the wise answered, saying, no, at least there should not be enough for us and you. But go rather to those who sell and buy for yourselves. What were those five virgins doing? When you have everything you need, why don't you get the oil? Time is the ally of deceit. Distractions and delays can be like a death warrant. A distraction, a delay, a detour, they can be a death warrant. Some people are called, there's a calling on your life. And when you fit that bill, the supernatural world, the spiritual realm, the bad guys have to keep you from fulfilling your assignment. They have to keep you from being the steward that you were created to be. Hope that makes sense. But the eyes, but verse 10, and when they went to buy, the bridegroom came. Who's selling oil at midnight? Well, probably nobody. So the point of the story is the parable is that because you're not ready, you're not ready. And we're not talking about people who don't know. We're talking about people who what? Do know. That even in the group of those who do know, 50% were cut out. They had a lamp, but they didn't have the oil. So while they went to buy, the bridegroom came. Of course, he's going to come while you step out. While those who were ready went in to the wedding, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the other virgins came also, saying, Master, Master, open to us. But he said, assuredly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour in which the Son of Man is coming. Okay. Um, so regardless of who you are or where you are or any of those things, we all have, a responsibility, some form of stewardship, um, and we're going to talk about this probably when we get back, when we're going to close out our different World Series, um, because clearly Yeshua goes in such power and authority, and he did leave that behind, and we need to kind of revisit the lack thereof in which we operate in. And sometimes it's just the kingdom mindset. And we used to have this saying that you have to have the Ruach in you so you can see Yah's bigger picture. And sometimes, like Eliezer, you might not understand, but because my fundamental, my foundation is being a good steward to my master, I'm rolling with him even if I don't understand. And sometimes we have points in life where we don't understand. Some people don't understand and they have the blind faith. Some people don't understand, and because they can't mentally or scholastically see it, they pump the brakes. They get out the car. They jump off the train. Okay. So With that being said, just thank you guys for sharing some of your time with me. Um, like I said, this was, if you take your note take, it was Kingdom Mindset, Stewards of the Unknown. And I cannot remember that author, but this is powerful quote: "Time is the ally of deceit." So, um, with that being said, hope that was a blessing to you. Hope Richard Reeves. Okay. Hope that may sell in our ruach, and then yeah. So just having the kingdom mindset and being just the best stewards we can possibly be, and realizing that you do have a share in the kingdom of the Most High, and that He's looking at us to share the wealth with the people. So, thank you for your time. Shabbat Shalom. Got about a little less than an hour for Shabbat is, and then we're back to regular time. So, all right. Well, thank y'all so much. I was